Okay, this will be our first video for WordPress. For our purposes, WordPress is a way to instantly create a website online. No software is required. It's all built right in front of you as you work on your WordPress site. WordPress was originally designed for blogging, but it has grown into a full client management system, and because of all the blogging, a community. It's estimated that as many as 25% of the sites on the entire internet are powered with WordPress technology. And if you're taking one of my classes, it's a great way to learn a relatively small amount of knowledge and be able to start making money from clients right away. One thing to be very aware of early on is that there are two versions of WordPress in two sites. Just a quick overview. The one you want to keep in mind is that we are using WordPress.com, not WordPress.org. And here in a nutshell is the difference. WordPress.com lets you set up a website for free, lets you have quite a bit of flexibility. WordPress.org is the next step in the journey that you might want to take, and that is where you self-host a WordPress website. You have all the same technology that, as you'll soon see, is very powerful, but you can customize the site a lot more. You can use all kinds of plugins that are available online, some for free, some for purchase. So there you go, but just keep in mind this is what we're going to be doing, WordPress.com. One word of caution and inevitability is everything that you're going to see in this video will change. Unless you're watching it right as I'm making it, chances are as soon as you go into WordPress, things are going to look a little bit different in here. You're intelligent, you'll be able to figure out the slight differences. If not, you have the ability, of course, if you're taking my class, to ask me questions. But I think if you just look around and say, okay, well, the getting started button was here for Steve. Where is it? I can't find it. It's not there. Okay, it moved. So I'm sure you can figure that kind of stuff out. So I'm going to try to set up a brand new WordPress site right in front of you here. I may be running out of brand new email addresses to do this, so we'll see how that goes. But that's also a lesson for those of you who have set up sites in the past. You may just be adding a new site rather than the ability to start from total scratch like you might see me do here. Okay, so I'm going to click Get Started, or Get Started over here. To keep in mind here, you do need to put in a legitimate email address because you have to answer an email from them before the account is officially open. Choosing a username these days gets harder and harder because millions of people are using this technology. Password, you got to remember this one. Not much I can do for you if you lose your password. You'll probably have to go through WordPress and request a new password or some type of thing like that. Once you've got a unique username that they allow you, in other words, if you put something that's already been taken, they'll tell you. Then we just click Create Account. Now this part's fairly new. They ask you a series of questions right now, and I think they're part statistical and part for bringing to you, once you get started, the most appropriate themes to choose from. But you really never have to worry about picking a wrong answer or choosing a wrong theme. Everything is always changeable in WordPress. Even after you've added content, you can still switch to another theme, which is just the way it looks. May not make sense to you now, but it will in the future. So I'm just going to go ahead and answer these questions. Okay, so enter a name or a keyword. So this is how you're starting to develop your address. The pain here is that most things that you choose have already been taken and they're trying to get your money. And I don't recommend for my classes that you pay for a domain. Just keep it really simple. You can always upgrade that kind of stuff later. And even if you put a whole ton of work into a site, you can upload from one site into another one. So just as an example, you can see I just wanted to do the two classes that I use WordPress for, GD240 and Art129, and they wouldn't let me have it just like that without paying for it. They offered me GD240 129.art.blog for free. Okay, so the shortest, sweetest, easiest thing I could get for free was just 240 and 129.home.blog. So I'm happy with that. I'll select that. And then here's the different plans, and we want to just start with the free plan. And boom, the site has been created. Last step in establishing your site is you just need to confirm your email address. So they have sent you an email to the email that you provided with them. Go check it, follow the instructions on that. So here is the email I received from them. So we're just going to click here to confirm now. Took me back to the site. Read through the rest of that email. It said something in there about checking your inbox for WordPress.com. There's a welcome kit email in there. Yeah, don't have to worry too much about that. And interesting, it says WordPress powers 33% of the internet. And then here's some examples of sites that use WordPress technology. Back in the site, you can go ahead and start doing some more things. Just for now, let's put a tagline. A lot of this stuff you have a chance to, well, anything you do, you have a chance to change later. But it helps to do as much stuff here as possible, because then you get to see, once you start experimenting with themes, some themes don't even show a tagline, some do and don't show profile pictures, and so on. So just put some kind of tagline on there for now. Just put WordPress is pretty easy for my tagline. And then save. Sure, we'll return to the checklist for now. While we're here, let's just continue. It says click to change photo here. And because I know I can change this later, I'm just going to select some kind of random image here. And then you get a chance to crop into where you want it. Follow the directions and you're pretty much there. You can fill more information in here if you would like. Okay, this is good enough for now. We can move on here to the contact page. When this page opens, it even gives you some tips on how to add content to this basic form. You know, and this is how the form would appear to your readers. I'll experiment a little bit in here. And so basically, if you click in here, it gives you, you know, like if I click away or go up here, I could change the name from contact to, you know, contact me. I'll just make this kind of goofy just so you can see the options you have. But down here, when this is selected, this comes up where you could either remove it. I don't want to remove it, so I'll just Command Z, bring it back. But if I click in here again to activate it, I can click edit, and then I can start editing the individual items in here. This first bit is what do you want it to say at the top of the email when they send you an email? You know, meaning if somebody contacts you through your site, it's then going to be sent to the email address that you provide here, but this is what would appear at the top of the email. So you're like, ah, that's from my so-and-so WordPress site. Then you can change what fields are available in here. So right now, you know, it defaulted with the name, email, and comment, but let's say that you didn't really want to require a person to put their email in there. You could uncheck this. Probably makes sense for them to put their email in there. So I think, unless you got a really good reason to do something crazy, you probably want to leave this alone. But you could add another field like, how did you find me? And you could just leave the field at text so that they can type something in there. You could even make it required. I'd be careful about stuff like this because you're likely to scare people away if you require them to do too much. So I'll just undo that. Okay, so you could continue on and keep going back to that checklist, but in the interest of time and finishing up this video so that we can do our post, which is required for your first process check on the WordPress site with me, let's get to that. For the most part, WordPress is pretty easy to use, but where people get frustrated sometimes is, last time I was over here, it said this, now it says something totally different. So here's what you want to be aware of, is clicking over here, which now has my image on it, brings up a certain amount of stuff right here, which is basically your profile. But then clicking on my site over here usually brings up the alternate version in the bulk of the stuff that you want to get to. So remember that. Also remember this, that this changes a little bit. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to log out of my site, and then I'm going to go on a different page, and I'm going to put in my address. So you just go ahead, type in whatever your URL was that you came up with. This is mine. It brings you to the page, and based on how much information you put in the setup, you may have a contact page now. If you don't worry about it. And then there's a default blog that they put in here. Now, how would I edit the site at this point? If I'm still logged in, and sometimes the computer remembers that I am, I can just click over here and I can start working. But I want you to be aware of this. If you're not logged in, the easiest way to get there is you just add a / and then admin to your site name, and then it will take you through the login, usually your email and then the password that you put in. The thing that can be a little bit frustrating about this is then it looks a little different yet again, but we can still go here, get to this information where we can sign in, have access to the basic information about ourselves. But then over here we have what we saw before. It just looks a little bit different. Same content, and now here it has the name that is really important about what this is, and it's called our dashboard, and that's where you enter in like new pages, new posts for your site. So without further ado, let's get to our first post so that you can get that off of your checklist. So you're going to go to post, you're going to go to add new. When this comes up here, you're just going to put in the name that you like to be called in the class, and something like this. So this would be the title of it, and then you'll go down to the bottom, which is the content, and you'll just put in something real simple like hello world. And that's it. You got a title to your first post, you've got some content in your post, and then you're just going to click on publish one more time because it's telling you there's some other things that you could do if you want to, but we're just going to go ahead and publish this right now immediately. And then now you can click on view post, and that'll give you a preview of what your audience would see. So you can see it got rid of that default post in there, and now it has the new post that I'll be looking for. We'll talk a lot more about all this other stuff in the future, but that's all you really need to know for now. Best thing you could do is, if you have the option, move over to another computer where you're totally locked out, the cookies can't remember you, and see what it looks like. It should be very, very close to this, but you won't see these options to log in and or to get back to the dashboard and change things around.